What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Nikolai Espresso, and welcome back to another Black Ops 3 video here today on the channel. Today, we're going to be talking zombies, and more specifically, DLC 4 and the story implications that will happen in that map, and perhaps have already been put into motion as set by Origins in Black Ops 2. Now, if this doesn't make any sense, it will here in a second, but this comes from the great mind of Spence Cool over on the Call of Duty Zombies subreddit. This theory is entirely his. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and I wanted to share it with you guys because it makes a lot of sense and could explain a lot of where we came from in zombies and where we could be going in theory. So right now at this point in time, it's pretty much a known fact, or at least the common accepted theory, that we'll be going and fighting the great battle for DLC 4, the final battlegrounds here, Primus versus the Apothicans, however you want to talk about it, but it's something that was predicted back in DLC 1 with Der Eisendrache here. In the Wolf Bow, there was a bunch of different paintings that hinted at the rise of a king and the fall of a kingdom. And within one of those paintings was a castle in the background with the foreground of the entire landscape on fire and a giant tentacle arm coming out of the sky. And that to a lot of people was like, whoa, the Apothicans, Margwas, all that kind of crazy stuff that we first saw in Shadows of Evil was back in the zombie storyline at some point in time and had a pretty big effect on this landscape. Now, the theory is that we're going to be going to this war here. We're going to be fighting off all the Apothicans. We're going to be doing all this crazy stuff. We're going to be seeing a lot of things that were introduced as a part of Origins with this DLC 4 as confirmed and somewhat subtly hinted at throughout the community, such as the mystery box, the staves returning, as well as the Templar Knights. The crazy place also, too, could be returning as well for this DLC 4. Now, this is going to tie in directly with a loop theory with Origins, and it's actually not the first time we've seen a loop theory, so would it be out of the ordinary to see that this is something that actually does happen? Not necessarily, because if you guys want to think about it, the most prominently known of these loop theories within the zombie storyline is the Mob of the Dead storyline. That is one continuous cycle, and of course there are other ones like the Shangri-La cycle that happens here with that one. That one's a little bit more in-depth and not necessarily known as much as the Mob of the Dead cycle, but it is still a cycle nonetheless, and it's something that we've seen throughout the zombie storylines. So would this be out of the ordinary to see a loop, or more specifically another loop tying in with Origins? I personally don't think at all. Well, the theory then goes that all this stuff that we just mentioned, the staves, the mystery box, the Templar Knights, all that kind of stuff will be coming back because, well, the Great War actually refers to the site of the dig site location in Origins. For those that remember back to the very beginning of Origins, the very first initial teasers, or rather I think it was the full teaser trailer for it that was given for Origins, Samantha was the announcer here with that, and she mentioned the battlefields of the Great War. That first initially being inferred to be a world war, something that would then play back into the whole tying storyline of where the zombies game mode originated from. World War I, World War II, that was where the origins of zombies came from way back in the day with World at War, but it actually potentially could have meant the Great War with the Apothicans. So let's do a little bit of a chronological time frame here for this, so it kind of makes sense going in order from the events as they happen. So firstly, the Great War happens. That is fought by Primus, the King, and Pablo Marinus, who actually holds still a great deal of significance in the zombie storyline, and one of his ciphers actually mentions that while being pumped with 115, he ends up seeing versions of himself as a Templar Knight. So it does fit this time frame that he would be fighting alongside Primus and the king that we saw in the Wolf Bow upgrade. Now, they all fight alongside together and fight off the Apothicans on their invasions toward Earth. At this point in time, we don't necessarily know an exact time frame for it, but Earth is being attacked by the Apothicans. They somehow made their way over into it, and after being defeated here, well, then Primus warns everybody of the dangers of trying to get to Agartha, and the Apothicans are a great danger to everybody that tries to do that. So the Apothicans stop trying to attack, and once they're finally gone, that's whenever everything starts to move on into a lot later on in the time frame. That's when World at War, Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 zombies occur, and then Maxis will open up the gateway to Agartha and Buried, and that's going to cause the universe to fracture. We actually learn about this from Gorod Krovi and the Monty Wisps, and because it was something directly open to Agartha and not used as, say, the crazy place as a staging area to go in between there, that's going to cause some major problems. The current universes that we know of in the zombie storyline through the Earth, and then thus the Origins universe is created. That then leads up to Group 935, stumbling across the ancient artifacts and the remnants of this great war in northern France. So if that's the case, then it's going to lead up to DLC 4, which is the great battle between Primus and the Apothicans, and that's where the paradox starts to come into play. The war gets won, centuries pass, the 115 meteor is then going to hit the Earth, and World at War happens, and this is the never-ending loop of the Origins time paradox. Now obviously for it to end, something different has to happen, something has to close this loop off, and that's where it's really going to get interesting here. I think that theory is just absolutely mind-blowing, but makes a ton of sense. But then comes in another part that we haven't really heard about up until Grad Krovi with this last recent DLC. That is Dr. Monty. Now, of course, Dr. Monty seems like the person that you want to like, that he wants to appeal to the players and think that maybe he's a good guy, but in reality, he's probably the bad guy in the way that everything is going here, with Maxis not really being a counteraction to any of Richtofen's actions. It seems like Monty is the next best thing here that we have that will put up a fight against everybody and the storyline. So that said, then comes in the theory that Dr. Monty is actually evil. What if Monty is actually the Apothicon overlord, knowing about the loop and helping the original four with the Gobblegums? He's stopped in the war, which is then going to banish him and the Apothicons, and that's why there is no Gobblegums present in the old games, and when we reopen the gateway in Origins, we unleash him as well as the other Apothicons to invade the universes that we know of, and at that point, that's when Gobblegums come into Black Ops 3, but that theory I think personally has some holes because Monty claims that he's responsible for all the power-ups, all the wall buys, all the mystery boxes, all the perks, things like that, so don't necessarily know how that one would work, but the fact that Monty is evil kind of is something that's hinted at already, and it kind of would make sense that he would be an Apothicon overlord. So I guess we'll see how this all plays out here with DLC 4 coming sometime next month, but that is definitely a very interesting theory that I want to share with you guys. I thought it was absolutely so cool. So leave your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Do you guys think that this is one giant loop theory and that it might actually be how everything plays out here? Love to hear your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. But thank you so much for watching. If you guys liked the video, be sure to like rating down below. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe on that road to 50,000 subscribers. So every little bit does help and is of course greatly appreciated. But my name is Nikolai Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.